Two Witches is well, it says 2021, but I swear this is a 2022 film. I always do this where, yeah, October 2022. So this is in the United States, October 2022. So this is real recent, last month. So we checked this out. You can rent this for $1.99 in HD on, I think that's on Apple and Amazon, something like that. But yeah, anyways, so Two Witches. What's this about? Well, let's see. It says an aging, malevolent witch intercedes in the lives of two young women. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess. So this one is, I guess, we'll go with what you think first.
Oh, I loved this movie. We talked about it a tiny bit at work today, but I thought that this was a really cool, modern take on witches. I feel like it was almost perfect for, a witch movie as far as that goes in, a more, just modern sense. But I liked all of the imagery. I think that there was, some really cool jump scares and visual effects with, faces. I was really into all of that. And I also, I think that the style, it sort of reminded us in the beginning of a dubbed Italian movie, because there was some parts in the beginning that were a little rough with the voiceover. I don't know what was going on with that, but the rest of the film just had that style, and it was really neat.
Yeah. Overall, I loved the film for sure, but I would say that the film is mostly going to be successful in its visuals, in its scares, because I think the film is downright terrifying at times. I think that it is uber creepy. I think that it's got some great atmosphere. So I think the film really, really succeeds in the horror department. The film can be silly.
Sure.
So there's a lot of focus on faces in this, and people making faces, and their faces distorting or turning or whatever, almost like Smile, except for way more of it in here. Smile, you don't even get that much of it. And sometimes it focuses on effects, practical or digital, and sometimes it relies on the actual actor making a face. And some of those faces that the actor is supposed to make can feel silly. And some of them feel silly in an uncomfortable way.
Yeah.
And some of them feel silly in a almost cringy kind of way. And they happen throughout. So there is a lot of silliness throughout, just sprinkled in. And I could definitely see that taking people out, because they'll fixate on that, and they'll find that annoying or stupid, and then that might take them out of the film, and then they'll start to think everything else is silly. And I also think that the acting in this, it might be intentionally hammy, but it does feel like an Italian film in the acting, the Argento style acting of the 70s and 80s, and I could absolutely see that being very off-putting. But this film definitely is trying to, even though it is set modern day, I do feel like it is trying to capture that feeling of 70s, 80s European horror, and I think it does it pretty well. But where this film greatly succeeds is in its imagery, in its scares. The film is unsettling, it's scary, and absolutely fucking disgusting at times. And it very much goes for those things and it tries to gross you out. It tries to do some things that are over the top, right? This is a very extreme film that is all about, you know, having those shocking moments, and some people could see that as trashy and lowbrow. But I think that if you're into really wild imagery and super WTF moments, because there's a lot of them in here, and the film is structured in a way where it almost feels like an anthology of sorts, where you kind of do get two different stories, as it says, two different women. They are connected in a way, but for the most part, it does feel like two separate tales that have similar themes. And we got Christina Klebb in here, who also co-wrote this movie, and most of us would know her from Rob Zombie's Halloween as Linda Vanderklot. But anyways.
No, I think that the movie was really charming for me. Like, the acting, I do think was intentionally the way it was, and I don't know if there was any really bad acting in it. Maybe some amateur type stuff, but overall, I just think it was really charming as far as that goes with the style. But it was scary. There was a lot of moments that I was like slapping on you because I was genuinely freaked out. The facial expressions was a big thing for me because that's always one of my favorite like triggers for horror, and this movie did it really, really well. I was like, I didn't want to look at anybody's face because I knew something was going to happen to it, which I think is a sign of success.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed most of the effects, the setup to the scares, how they were executed. I loved all that stuff. There was just a very unsettling feeling to the film. And here's another big note on the film, and something I'm glad I remembered to talk about. The film is never boring.
No,
the film
not at
is
all.
Go from the get.
Yes.
Like,
there was
legit.
a point in the film that happened like maybe 30 minutes in.
Oh man,
that
we
seriously
thought we were like
this
an hour and
is
40 minutes
yeah,
in the movie or something.
It was so intense, and it keeps that momentum.
Yes.
And it does it really well. Like, the whole time I was super engaged, even in the kind of dual storytelling that's going on. I think that they do a really good job of carrying you from one story to the next and tying it together. And I think it has all the elements. What I was kind of trying to say at the beginning, and I wasn't doing a great job of, is that it really is a contemporary like witch story.
Yes.
It has all of the elements that you would get from a story, like a folk horror story set in like the 1800s or 1700s, you know, but it's modern, and I just think that that's really cool, and we always want to see more witch stories because they're such an underused like element of the genre, you know, and I think this was a big success. Like, I really, really enjoyed it.
The brilliance of the film is in its structure, because when you have a super fast-paced film like this that feels like you're at the third act 30 minutes in, the way that you're able to build to swells to climaxes early is by breaking them up into different acts. And so this film does its first act, which takes about 40 minutes of the film, and then it concludes itself, and it then bleeds into the next story. You still have that heightened emotion that you felt throughout, but then you're brought back down to the next story. And if it was trying to tell one story at this pace the whole time, it may have been exhausting, but it was able to allow itself to build to a climax and then bring itself back down to bring it to a climax once again without feeling jarring, because it was telling two separate stories that are interconnected. And I think that was a really smart move for this film to be able to make a very thrilling, very fast-paced, very go kind of style of film, while also not exhausting your adrenal glands and making you feel like it's too much. And that can happen, where it's just like the film is going for at such a fast pace for so long. This happens to American Horror Story. most seasons, where they just try to keep outdoing themselves and they try to keep that tension. You can only keep tension for so long. But breaking it up like this with 2 stories, I think, was a really smart move for the pacing, and it lended itself very well to allowing for this film to be as fast paced as it was, while keeping very unsettling the entire time. I really like the performance from the second girl, who is like the I don't want to. She's not right. She's not right.
She isn't right. She had a great performance. She
is very creepy,
very
and unsettling,
very creepy.
and does her job very well.
Yeah.
Now this film, and take this with a bit of a grain of salt, because I'm not seeing it listed anywhere, but this film does end with saying "to be continued." I hope that's true. I hope that's true. I have seen that before.
Sure.
And it's not come to fruition. Yeah. I saw that at the end of All Cheerleaders Must Die, or All Cheerleaders Die, or whatever, the Lucky McKee film. Never got a second one. I saw it at the end of Automated Transfusion or something like that. Mm. That never happened. The To Be Continues at the end of these lower budgeted horror movies, I'm always like, will they be? I hope so.
We saw it at the end of Rewind, I think, too, right? The found footage.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we saw it at the end. We saw it at the end of something else that we were like, oh, and we looked into it, and it was. You might be right. It might have been Rewind. Doesn't matter.
Anyway, I hope that this does have a sequel or prequel or whatever they do, because I would love to see more. I thought it was just a great movie.
Yeah, huge recommendation.
Yeah.
If you're into witch stuff and you just like really wild imagery and aren't too wrapped up in like, does the plot make perfect sense, or is the acting Academy Award winning, or all that stuff. That This is just a very visceral film, and man, it's really, really effective and silly and stupid at times, and you'll kind of roll your eyes at moments, but then you'll be like,
it's just,
grabbed from behind and been like, remember me? And you're like, oh shit, yeah, I remember now.
The experience is like what it probably feels like to be actually like cursed by a witch. Like that's what it felt like. Like you would have all these elements of like terror and insanity and silliness, and it was great.
Yeah, the nightmarish imagery in it. It feels like a nightmare at times, and there's times in the movie where the characters like go into a nightmare, and it fucking feels like it. And there's some pretty surprising turns.
Yeah.
Big recommendation. I was a huge fan of this one, and definitely would pick it up. I think it got an Arrow release, because it is on Arrow streaming. If you have Arrow streaming, they have a streaming service, and it is on there. But this Arrow Blu-ray, I definitely want to pick it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, anyways, we got to go to the live stream, so hopeful to see you guys there.
But it'll be like in the past for you.
Yeah.
But anyway, hopefully you're there.
Bye.
Bye.